Hi, my name is Julie. Today in my screencast, I will be explaining how to use Inkle Writer. The target audience is teachers in upper elementary to middle school. This can be for classroom teachers as well as media specialists. The purpose of this screencast in Inkle Writer is to become more familiar with creating interactive stories that you can share for free. The goal of this screencast is to demonstrate how to create an interactive story in Inkle Writer. When I think of interactive stories, I think of graphics and features where the text can include the reader. This website has just that to offer. However, there is a spin on it. You create interactive fiction stories for the reader to make choices on what they want to read next in your story. This reminds me of books called Choose Your Own Adventure. The neat thing about this website is that you are the one that's creating the adventure. You can create multiple paragraphs in your story before you have the reader choose what they want to read next. You can decide how or where you want the reader to go. You do this by creating options or creating choices of where you want that reader to go. You can offer multiple options, or you can choose just one option for that reader. Choosing different options can cause the reader to have different things happen to their character or characters in the story. Your story will divide into different paths, and this program will help you to make sure you can move between different paths in the story and not get too confused. As your story develops, you can bring your story back together again, or what they call link up, to ensure that the story doesn't get too confusing, or that you can complete the story with an ending in mind. I will begin showing you how easy it is to log in and start creating a story. Once again, this is a free website where anyone can log in and create an interactive story. So on my website right here, if you were to look, it shows where you can go ahead and sign in, get started, or have a new story. But first, before you want to do this, you want to sign in because it actually saves all your work as you sign in. And once again, it's free. So I would definitely choose the option of sign in. I've already created an account, but if you have not, you would click on this first. It's pretty simple. It doesn't take very long to create. Okay, so like I said again, as you sign in, it saves previous stories that you have completed. If this is your first time on here, you would definitely click new because you want to create a new story. Prior to putting your story on this website, I definitely, as a teacher, would advise you having graphic organizers for your students to be able to have and organize their stories. It can get really confusing if you're creating a story that has different pathways and they're broken up into different sections of the story. Students need to have some sort of organizational method or map that will help them to create their story. So when they're ready, they can go ahead and put it on the computer. For today, my example story is going to be pretty short, so you can see how to link stories together and how to create different options in a story. I'm going to start in write mode. If you look over here to the left, it says write and read. We're in write mode right now because we want to write our story. So I begin with my title. And you would put your name for the author. Now this starts with the sentence started once upon a time. I'm just going to go ahead and finish with that. Alright, so once upon a time there was a princess. I'm going to add options. This is where your story starts to become interactive. Her options will be, she's going to meet her friends. I'm going to add 2 options. You can add 3, 4, 1, however many you want to complete your story. So I'm going to pick one pathway to finish first before I go back and start branching off into other pathways. So if she goes and meets her friends, I'm going to create another part of my story. Now, I'm only putting sentences in. Kids should probably start putting paragraphs however you want it to go. But for today, I'm just putting a sentence or 2 in. I would definitely recommend multiple paragraphs or at least one paragraph to develop a story. So she meets her friends. At the park. So she's going to meet her friends at a park to see if they want to get lunch. So once again, I'm going to have multiple options for this character to have as well. I can say she suddenly doesn't feel well. Or I can come up with another option to lunch with her friends. If she goes out to lunch with her friends, I'm going to have her, she meets her prince. And once she meets her prince, I'm just going to add one option that's going to say she falls in love. And after that, she lives happily ever after. Now, if you see, I decided to stay with one path and I linked it all the way down to how I want that to end. Now, I'm going to go back and add where I have these loose links, or it says one loose end, to complete my story that way. An easy way to do that is I'm going to press this button right here up here. I'm going to rewind and rewind and rewind. So I'm going to start back from the beginning again. So if my reader chooses the option of her to go explore, I'm going to click this to fill this in. Do you see how this one actually looks different than that one too? So I can kind of see where I need to finish my story. It also lets you know up here you have one loose end, and it's have her go explore, which is this one right here. So I'm going to click on that. If I have her go explore, I'm going to decide, well, she's going to explore. Maybe when she's exploring, she can meet her prince. Since I already have that in a paragraph or a sentence for this example, I'm going to go ahead and join that to this option. So I'm going to click join to existing paragraph. The arrow shows you right here that you're going to move over here, and it shows all of the paragraphs that she has. So if I have her go explore, she's going to meet her prince. Once she meets her prince, when she explores, she falls in love, and we know what happens after that. That's when I end my story. She lives happily ever after. So I don't need to do anything else with that. I've ended my story that way. Now, once again, this is a short story. If you were a student, I would probably create a longer story, but this is just my examples right now. So let's say she goes and explores. Nope, I don't want to go explore. Let's say she meets her friends, and now she suddenly feels sick. So this is my other one where there's one loose end. She suddenly doesn't feel well right here. And it also shows me this is the one I need to complete. So if she doesn't feel well, I'm going to say as she is walking home, she meets her prince. Now, once I have her meet her prince, I want to end my story there too. So I'm going to join this to an existing paragraph. So once she meets her prince, she's going to do what? She's going to live happily ever after. So I have linked that in. So now my story is completely finished. My interactive parts are all linked. As you can see here, it says 2 links, 2 links, 2 links in, and it is the end of the story, and she lives happily ever after. Since I am in write mode, I'm going to go back and do my read mode to see if my story looks completed. So I would go back and make sure all my links make sense. Once upon a time, there was a princess. I'm going to have her meet her friends. They go to the park. She goes out to lunch. She meets her prince. She falls in love. Now, if I don't like something in there, I can go back to write mode to continue my story if I want to add more, or if I need to change something on it. Since everything looks good for me now, I'm going to rewind it back up. And I'm going to say, have her go explore. When she explores, she's meeting her prince. She falls in love. She lives happily ever after. So all those look good to me. The last part I wanted to do is she meets her friends and she doesn't feel well. So once I've done that, I'm going to click that. As she's walking home, she meets her prince. She lives happily ever after. So all my links look like they make sense. They all end up at the same ending point, which is what I wanted it to happen. I'm ready to share. So if I want to share my story, I'm going to click this right here at the top where it says share story. It now gives you a URL where I can copy and paste onto a website, onto a discussion board, anywhere where I'd want someone to read my story. Once again, they don't need to have a program or anything to be able to view my story. It's going to look just like this. And now I'm done. So now it's your turn to create your interactive story. I hope you enjoyed my screencast. Thank you.